I myself was a final expense agent for many years. I got licensed almost 13 years ago now. And the first 2 years, I spent probably close to half my week either on the phone, setting appointments for myself, following up with the carriers on applications that got submitted, doing, customer service with people who had returned my calls, things that didn't generate me revenue directly, right? Not saying that these weren't important tasks, especially something like setting appointments, which is a major sales activity, right? That's where I'm going to actually be generating my highest grossing revenue, but I wasn't actually generating that revenue when I'm setting the appointment. So I got to the point after about 2 years of selling final expense where I just was so burned out. I felt like there had to be a better way. There had to be a way where I could get someone who at an affordable rate who could help me handle these low revenue or even no revenue generating tasks and allow me as the agent to focus on my highest revenue generating tasks. So what I'd like to do, I'll actually share my screen here. I've got a few slides I want to show you guys, um, just to kind of illustrate a lot of what Luis just touched on right there, about some of the reasoning why this makes so much sense to bring someone in. Again, whether you're hiring someone locally or you're working with a virtual assistant, I think it makes all the sense in the world to eliminate those low revenue to no revenue generating tasks so you can focus on what's absolutely most important and going to make you the most money. So let's see.
While you mentioned that,
Yeah.
Glenn, there was I've been almost in business for almost 25 years, and I had a guy early in the industry tell me, man, this business is rough and a lot of people don't make it. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but maybe 2 out of 10 actually survive the initial. And he was like, Luis, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to get burned out if you keep doing things you don't like to do. Okay. Hire out what you don't like to do, like the lower generating revenue kind of stuff. You focus on the higher revenue generating stuff. So
Yeah.
some of you new guys, if you don't like appointment setting, if you don't like customer service, now we're all salespeople. That's kind of hard. Maybe you want to duplicate yourself on that one and up your sales. But if there's things on there that don't generate a lot of revenue, you should be thinking that's what I want to hire somebody for. Go ahead, Glenn. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. And what's funny is I just recently read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Fantastic book, highly recommend it. And one of the things Dan talks about in that book is if you're doing something that you don't like to do, you feel like as a business owner, you're taking one for the team, I've got to do this. Well, there's actually someone out there who is good and enjoys at doing those tasks that you don't like doing. And it's scientifically proven that if you are doing something you don't like to do, you're most likely doing it worse than someone who enjoys doing it. So not only are you upset and you're wasting your time, most likely wasting money, but there's also someone out there that you could pay to do it who's going to do a better job than you. So yeah, I think again, great point, Luis. So just a few slides I want to get into here to kind of really illustrate these points. So why you should consider hiring more people. Saving your time, reducing your stress, grow faster, all these things that we already kind of touched on right there. Here's where I think some of you get lost in the sauce of, well, it's only 15 minutes of my time. It's only an hour of my time. I get so focused on these repetitive tasks that build up over time. It might only be 15 minutes today, but if I'm doing this every single day, you're talking about 5, 6 hours a month. And that really starts to add up, especially when you realize exactly how much your time is really worth. So just to give you an example, let's say you're grossing $100,000 a year. Your gross revenue on average would be somewhere in the ballpark of $50 per hour. And this continues to scale with the more revenue you're generating as an agent, as an agency. If you're generating $1 million per year, your average is about 500 per hour. So once you have this ballpark number of what your time's worth, this will always be fluctuating, right? Should be going up. Now you know when you're doing a task, if I can pay someone and they can come in at 10, 20, even $30 an hour, right? If it's less than what your time is worth and you can pay someone to come in and do it, chances are, even if they're doing it just 80% of the quality that you're doing it, right? And I'll go back to that appointment setter analogy. When I hired my first appointment setter as an agent, they were not setting appointments as good as me. And I was very close to firing them right away, but I really wanted to just kind of see it out. I wanted to give it some time. I wanted to see how it would work. So I gave it a month. And what I realized is that even though the quality of the appointments being set were not as high quality as me setting my own appointments, it was close enough that I was still making way more money by delegating this to someone else, by giving this to an appointment setter and getting my time back to really focus on selling in the field. So, part of this process when you're hiring someone is doing an accounting of your time, figuring out where you are spending your time on a week to week, day to day, month to month basis. Some of you might have a good idea of where your time's going. Some of you might not have really any idea. So doing an accounting, you can look at your calendar. You can talk to, if you have someone in your office that you're working with, you can talk to them about, what did I do last week? What was I doing yesterday? Figuring out where your time's going is super important, because this is where you can start to get your time.